Chair recognizes Mr. Roy of Franklin.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise in support of House Bill 4099, an act to support improved financial stability in higher education. And let me begin by asking that when a vote is taken, that it be taken by a call of the yeas and nays.
Mr. Roy has asked when the matter is taken to be taken by a call of the yeas and nays. Those joining with him rise. The monitor return the count. First division. 20. Sufficient number having arisen. When the matter is taken, be taken by a call of the yeas and nays. Chair recognizes Mr. Roy of Franklin.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for your continued support, leadership, and commitment to education. Because of your leadership, Massachusetts continues to be at the top of the heap in the nation for education, and you continue to lead the way. 2 weeks ago, you introduced the Student Opportunity Act to provide additional resources in our state's K-12 system. And today, you turn to higher education to support improved financial stability at our institutions, both public and private, and protect students, staff, families, and host communities from significant negative consequences of college closings. I also want to thank the Ways and Means Chairman for his commitment to education and his guidance in getting us here today under difficult circumstances. And I also want to thank the Vice Chair, the gentleman from Westford, and the members of the Higher Education Committee for being so thoughtful and attentive at the hearings and in our meetings on this and many other topics we are taking up this session. And finally, I thank the gentleman from Bedford and the gentlelady from Amherst for their insight and contributions to this bill. In one of his annual reports on the state of education in Massachusetts, Horace Mann commented on the abundant resources of wealth and talent in Massachusetts. In so doing, he noted that one copious, exhaustless fountain supplies all this abundance. It is education. He went on to say that having no other minds to work, Massachusetts has mined into the human intellect, and from its limitless resources, she has one more sustaining and enduring prosperity and happiness than if she had been founded on a stratification of silver and gold, reaching deeper down than geology has ever penetrated. Indeed, Massachusetts is home to some of the finest public and private colleges and universities in the world. Higher education is also a major employer and driver of business throughout the Commonwealth. Recent events, however, including the long-term downward demographic trends for traditional college-age students, the merger or closure of 18 institutions in the Commonwealth in the last 5 years, and the sudden closure of Mount Ida College in 2018 indicate substantial financial risks and the need for improved financial screening and reporting provisions for colleges and universities. We are mindful that these events can create significant negative consequences for enrolled and admitted students, staff, and host communities. I so recall the day when Mount Ida announced its closure in April of 2018. I received 2 phone calls that day, and I'm sure many of you received similar phone calls. One was from the parent of a young man who was attending that school, had just finished his junior year, and was about to enter into his senior year when he faced the sudden closure of his college. As a parent who put 3 kids through school, I can't imagine what that family and what that student had faced, and this bill will help address that problem. The other call I received was from the president of the college in my district, talking about the negative consequences of a sudden closure of a facility and what that would do to the university community across the state. And she expressed frustration and together worked on helping put this bill together. This legislation supports and strengthens our higher education system and these vital engines of opportunity, and in so doing, protects the interests of students and families who are mining at our colleges and universities. The 5 major provisions of the bill address the following topics. On board training, the bill requires comprehensive training programs for members of the boards of trustees at public colleges and universities in the proper governance of institutions. And it requires that all independent institutions of higher education provide orientation and training for members of their governing boards in higher education financial metrics and their legal and fiduciary responsibilities at least once every 4 years. On financial reporting, the bill requires that all institutions, public and private, post on their websites a copy of the annual report of independent auditors and a financial report written in terms that are understandable by members of the general public. On financial screening, the bill clarifies and enhances the authority of the Board of Higher Education to monitor financial health of Massachusetts colleges and universities. It requires an institution to immediately notify the board of any known financial liabilities and risks. It requires that the Board of Higher Education annually conduct a financial screening of each institution to assess its financial information and to identify any institution that may be at risk of imminent closure. In lieu of conducting the screening itself, the board, under this legislation, may accept the results of an annual financial screening conducted by an accrediting agency authorized by the United States Department of Education. And once all this work is done, an institution that is determined to be at risk of imminent closure must prepare a contingency closure plan, which includes a process to provide notice to a variety of stakeholders, including students, faculty, staff, pending applicants, and host communities.
Purpose of the lady rise. Members are requested to please subdue their conversation. Chair recognizes Mr. Roy of Franklin.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Turning to the contingency closure plan, schools, when determined to be at risk of imminent closure, must provide a plan which provides notice to a variety of stakeholders, including students, faculty, staff, pending applicants, and host communities. The closing plan must also include arrangements for students to complete their program of study, a plan for maintenance of student records, and the furnishing of a bond with surety or a letter of credit for the purpose of both refunding the deposits made by students and the cost of protecting and maintaining student records. To ensure compliance, the bill sets forth various penalties, including fines, suspension of any state funds, or the suspension or revocation of any degree-granting authority. Importantly, the bill also ensures that the financial information submitted by colleges and universities to the board for the screening process will be strictly confidential. The public records exemption provision will avoid disclosures that could undermine an institution's ability to sustain operations and improve its fiscal condition as it engages in remedial measures. However, when it is determined that an institution is at risk of imminent closure, there is ample and robust public notification provisions in the bill that will be triggered. For all of these reasons, I urge all of the members to support this legislation and keep Massachusetts at the top of the heap in the nation. Thank you.